Good morning, everybody. My name is James Wong, and I am with the EDD. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our department and what we do, and some of the services that we provide, and but mainly the importance of reporting your workers and your employees to our department. So I know when most people think of EDD, they think of unemployment insurance. And that is one part of our department, but the EDD is also the state agency that collects part of your payroll taxes. So some of you may not be familiar with payroll taxes if you've never owned your own business, but we've all seen them before. So if you ever look at your paycheck and you see all those taxes are being taken out, those are your payroll taxes. So but now that once you guys have started your business and you start hiring people to work for you, now it's going to be your turn to take care of those taxes and send them into our department. Now, if you have questions about anything I covered today or questions in the future, take a look at our website, which has a wealth of information on there about payroll taxes and also about unemployment insurance and disability insurance. Now, you can also call our toll-free number to our Taxpayer Assistance Center, which is right there on the screen. And again, it's a toll-free number. If you have questions concerning payroll taxes. Now, we also have free seminars that we do, so you can come and learn all about payroll taxes. Now, and I'll talk a little bit about more of those later on, but you can also find all our seminars on our website as shown on the screen. So next slide. So today I'm going to talk briefly about, again, the importance of reporting your workers to the EDD. Okay, so whether you're going to hire employees to work for you, or you're going to use what we call an independent contractor, it's very important to know when to report these workers to EDD and pay the necessary taxes. So some of you may have heard about the new law that went into effect this year regarding independent contractors, and I'll also talk about that in a minute. So this is important because if you use an independent contractor and then it turns out they're really an employee, you could owe taxes to our department. And I'll talk a little bit about that later on as well. And we'll also talk about some of the resources that are available to help you. Okay, next slide. So let's talk a little bit about numbers. So this chart illustrates what your cost could be to EDD. So on the left-hand side, the very first column, that shows what your state payroll taxes are. So you have your unemployment insurance, your employment training tax, state disability insurance, and personal income tax. Now, some of you guys are probably familiar with these. Again, if you have payroll, but these are the 4 state taxes that are sent to our department. So if you look on the column on the right, where it says employer correctly classifies worker as employee. So let's say you hire one person and you pay him $20,000 for the year. You pay him $20,000. And so if you look at the column on the right, this is what you would owe to EDD. So you would owe $238 for the unemployment insurance tax, $7 for the employment training tax. You don't pay state disability and personal income tax because the employee pays that. So what you would owe to our department is a total of $245 for this one person that you paid $20,000 to for the year. Now, if you treat this person as an independent contractor, and then we come in and say it's really an employee, you're going to owe the taxes that are shown there on the middle column. So the $238, the $7, the $200, the $1,200, for a total of $1,645. So for this one person that was an independent contractor, but we say he's really an employee. So as you can see, that's quite a difference. That's quite a difference as far as how much you would owe. So as you can see, it can be very costly, very expensive if you treat somebody as an independent contractor, and then it turns out they're really an employee. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. Now, there are a lot of misconceptions about independent contractors, and some of you may have heard about some of these in the past. So we like to get these out of the way first before we talk about the independent contractors. And this handout that shows you on the bottom, this DE 573M, the independent contractor misconception. This is available on our website. You can download it, and it talks all about what the common misconceptions are about independent contractors. And some of you may have heard of some of these. One of the most common things we always hear is, well, I have a hair salon, and I know all the hair salons treat their workers as independent contractors. So I'm going to do the same thing because it must be okay to do so. Okay, so remember, that's not always the case, because again, there are rules and guidelines that you have to follow to see whether the person's independent or not. You can't just hire somebody and say they're going to be an independent contractor because that's what somebody else does. Another common misconception we hear is, well, the worker, he's not a regular employee. He only worked for me for a few days, for a week, on a temporary basis. Okay, just remember, even though somebody works for you on a temporary basis, that doesn't mean they're an independent contractor, because again, you have to go by the rules to see whether they're employees or not. So again, take a look at this handout, the DE 573M, and talks about some of the common misconceptions. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. So just remember, whenever you hire people to work for you and you pay them for their services, they're subject employees and they have to be on the payroll. So this could include all types of workers and volunteers too. Next slide. Again, especially if you pay them. Now remember, if you're a corporation, and Lila talked a little bit about this earlier, if you decide to have a corporation, corporate officers by law are employees. Okay, so this is another common mistake people make. So again, whether you hire a manager, maybe customer service people, cultivators, harvesters, they're all employees, again, if you control what they're doing. Next slide. Now, I mentioned earlier about the new law that went into effect, and this has been in the news a lot lately. And it's very important that you're familiar with this law, especially if you're going to use independent contractors in your business, because it changes everything. So someone who you thought might be an independent contractor before might not be now. And this new law is called Assembly Bill 5, or AB 5, and it came about. Again, it went into effect January 1st this year. It came into effect because of this company called Dynamics, and it went all the way up to the Superior Court. So whenever you hear people talk about the Dynamics case or Dynamics, this is what they're talking about. So as a result of this case, the Supreme Court came out with a new set of rules to determine whether somebody's an independent contractor or not. Now, in the past, we would look at things like, did you control the worker and tell them what to do? You know, did you set their hours? Did you supervise them? Did you determine the rate of pay? These are all things we would look at to determine whether you control the person. Now, with this new test, you have to use to see if the worker is really an independent contractor or not. It's called the ABC test. Okay, they call it the ABC test. Now, there's a lot of information online and on the EDD website about the new law, again, which is called AB5. Or you can just Google AB5 or ABC test, and you'll get all kinds of information about this. Now, so in that case, they came out with this new test to determine whether you're an independent contractor or not. And it's basically a shorter test now, where you have to meet 3 criteria, 3 conditions, and all 3 of those conditions have to be met in order for the person to be an independent contractor. Now, there are some exceptions to this test, which means there are certain types of workers that are not subject to the ABC test. So in which case, you go back and use the old method to determine if the person's an independent contractor or not. So we're not entirely done with the old method of determining if somebody's an independent contractor. But again, if there's no exception, then you go with the ABC test. And those exceptions, that's all on our website and online as well. Okay, next slide. Now, there are a lot of resources to help you. So even though after going through all this, if you're still not sure, I encourage you to take a look at our website, which has a lot of information about payroll taxes, using independent contractors, and of course, the new law, AB5. And also, there are a lot of resources to help you. We also have, as I mentioned earlier, free seminars for you to come and learn all about payroll taxes and what your responsibilities are to the EDD. Right now, we have these classes set up as webinars, but once this pandemic is over, we will have in-person classes again. So come to one of our seminars. We have basic seminars that talk about the taxes, We have seminars that just talk about employee independent contractor. So we have a couple of different classes that are available for you. So we do these classes regularly throughout all of the states. So just go to our website and you can find one near you. So even though you might not be ready to go to a seminar today, but maybe 6 months from now or a year from now, you decide I want to learn about payroll taxes, go to our website and see when we're going to have one near you. And as I mentioned, they're all free. Now, another resource I want to mention is the first one on this chart. I'm sorry, the second one, which is the Determination of Employment Work Status, the DE 1870, which is also available on the EDD website. So what this is a questionnaire. It's a questionnaire, you fill it out, you send it in to us, we'll send you something in writing telling you whether the person's an independent contractor or not. So we'll give you a determination based on the information that you provide to us. So this would be a great tool for you to use if you're not sure or you want to protect yourself, because if we do come in and do an audit or an investigation of your business and we say, hey, this guy's an employee, you can say, well, wait a minute, you sent this to me saying he's not. So it would protect you in those situations if we're talking about the same workers and the facts haven't changed. So use the determination again if you're not sure, or again you want to get it in writing from our department. So with that, that concludes the information I wanted to give you. So now let me turn it over to our next speaker.